What is one of the four main objectives? The purpose of risk management is to reduce risks to an acceptable level. Information is structured data. The purpose of risk management is to reduce risks to an acceptable level. Information is structured data. Information is the meaning and value assigned to a collection of data. Correct. Information is data that has a meaning in some context for its receiver. Protection rings. Outer ring, area around the premises. Building, access to the premises. Working space, the rooms in the premises, also known as inner ring. Object, the asset that is to be protected. What is one of the four main objectives of a risk analysis? Identifying assets and their value. Establishing a balance between the costs of an incident and the costs of a security measure. Determining relevant vulnerabilities and threats. What is an example of a human threat? Phishing. Correct. Phishing, luring users to false websites, is one form of a human threat. A standby arrangement is a corrective measure that is initiated in order to limit the damage. What is a repressive measure in case of a fire? Putting out a fire after it has been detected by a fire detector. Correct. This repressive measure minimizes the damage caused by the fire. Which factor is not important for determining the value of data for an organization? A. The content of data. Correct. The content of data does not determine its value. Who is authorized to change the classification of a document? The owner of the document. Correct. The owner must ensure the asset is classified or reclassified if necessary, so is authorized to change the classification of a document. The computer room is protected by a pass reader. Only the system management department has a pass. What type of security measure is this? A physical security measure. Correct. This is a physical security measure. Which factor is verified when we must show our access pass? Something you have. Correct. An access pass is an example of something that you have. Which threat can occur as a result of the absence of a physical measure? A server shuts down because of overheating. Correct. Physical security includes the protection of equipment through climate control, air conditioning, air humidity. Which security measure is a technical measure? Encryption of files. Correct. This is a technical measure which prevents unauthorized persons from reading the information. A logic bomb is not always malware. It is a piece of code that is built into a software system. Trojan is a program which, in addition to the function that it appears to perform, purposely conducts secondary activities, unnoticed by the user. Spyware is a computer program that collects information on the computer user and sends this information to another party. The malicious software was installed due to a targeted phishing attack. Which action is the most beneficial to prevent such incidents in the future? Start a security awareness program. Correct. The underlying vulnerability of this threat is the unawareness of the user. Users are persuaded in these kinds of attacks to execute some code that violates the policy, e.g. install suspicious software. Addressing these kind of attacks in a security awareness program will reduce the chance of reoccurrence in the future. You have been asked to propose organizational security measures for laptops at your company. What is the first step that you should take? A. Formulate a policy regarding mobile media, PDAs, laptops, smartphones, USB sticks. Correct. The policy how to use mobile media is an organizational measure and security measures for laptops can be an obligation. What is the name of the system that guarantees the coherence of information security in the organization? A. Information Security Management System, ISMS. Correct. The ISMS is described in ISO/IEC 27001. What is establishing whether someone's identity is correct called? A. Authentication correct. Establishing whether someone's identity is correct is called authentication. Chapter 9. A threat is a possible event that can have a disruptive effect on the reliability of information. You decide to take measures for the large risks but not for the small risks. What is this risk strategy called? A. Risk-bearing correct. Risk-bearing means certain risks are accepted. What is an example of a human threat? A. A USB stick passes on a virus to the network correct. A USB stick is always inserted by a person. Thus, if by doing so a virus enters the network, then it is a human threat. Why is it necessary to keep a disaster recovery plan up to date and to test it regularly? Because otherwise, in the event of a far-reaching disruption, the measures taken and the incident procedures planned may not be adequate or may be outdated. Correct. A far-reaching disruption requires an up-to-date and tested plan. There is a network printer in the hallway of the company where you work. Many employees don't pick up their printouts immediately and leave them on the printer. What are the consequences of this to the reliability of the information? A. The confidentiality of the information is no longer guaranteed correct. The information can end up or be read by persons who should not have access to the information. All organizations should have a policy and procedures for personal data protection, which should be known to everybody who processes personal data. How can an organization determine the effectiveness of the service level management (SLM) process? By measuring customer satisfaction. Correct. Customer satisfaction is the most important aspect to determine the effectiveness, ability to achieve desired results, of SLM process. Vulnerability is the degree to which an object is susceptible to a threat. Which activity is performed first after acceptance of an RFC? Determining the urgency of the change. A risk is the average expected damage over a period of time as a result of one or more threats leading to disruptions. An information security policy provides direction and support to the management regarding information security. Functional escalation.